last week, tariffs were adjusted. It was an increase, and many of you will be paying more for water and for electricity. Tonight, we're going to have a conversation with a man at the top of that chain when it comes to PURC making the decision. The Executive Secretary is my guest. I know many of you still have questions. I'll try to put those questions to him to get you some answers as we approach 1st September, just a few days away that you begin to pay. We'll break it down, make it simple for you to appreciate how much this will affect you. But let's start with the breakdown. You know, the Ghana Water Company initially had asked for 334% increase in the cost of water that you should be paying, right? What they got is 21.55%, which, if you look at the difference, they received simply 6.5% of what they asked for. Many will say, well, if this is what they're asking for, you remember we had this conversation here on PM Express, and they explained why they wanted this, that if you don't give them something close to this, they will possibly even shut down because of the high cost of, refining the water and making it cleaner for you to drink through your taps. And so now that they're getting just 21%, the question then becomes, who is going to make up for the shortfall, that difference there? The Electricity Company of Ghana, and I bet this is the one that many people will feel, because electricity is one of those things that, you can't do without. For water, you can drill your own mechanized borehole, like myself, and then you are off completely from what Ghana Water is supplying. So you will not necessarily feel it. But for electricity, we all rely on it. And 148% is what they asked for. They got 27.15%, 18.3% of what they've actually requested. Same questions apply here. Now, we're going to break this down a bit more, because if you look at water, for example, 5 cubic meters, that's 5,000 liters of water. Currently, the old tariff was 22 cedis, 45 pesos is what you were paying for 5,000 liters. If you have a polytank, for example, use that to measure. Some of these is 2,000 liters, 5,000 liters. You're paying 22 cedis, 45 pesos for it. Now you're going to be paying 27 cedis, 29 pesos for that same amount. So you're paying just slightly above 5 cedis more for 5,000 liters. And then 10 cubic meters, that's 10,000 liters, a very big polytank. You're talking about 62 cedis before. Now you're paying 75 cedis, 39 pesos is what you'll be paying for now. Now, if you look at non-residential, now one of the things that we're told that these adjustment that we're seeing will be very favorable to businesses, right? We're going to ask the question of the PURC boss, how exactly does the real figures deliver that? So a 10 cubic meter, 10,000 liters, if you were a business, non-residential, you were paying 98 cedis, 30 pesos for it if you're a business. Now you'll be paying 119 cedis, 49 pesos. I mean, can you cope with this as a business in the current economic climate? Let's hear from you tonight also. Commercial is 10 cubic meters. For those who use water for sachet water and co, you were paying what, 129 cedis, 80 pesos. Now you're paying 175 there. Now, if you look at electricity, and this is the interesting thing, right? You have Lifeline. If you consume a 0 to 30 kilowatts an hour, you were paying just 12 cedi, 10 pesos. The new tariff, you're going to be paying 14.70, right, for those in this bracket. But the minority issued a statement and say majority of us, residential, we are within the 0 to 300 kilowatts an hour bracket, and that's where they say the impact will be felt. So you have 120 kilowatts an hour. So all other residential consumers, 0 to 30, where the bulk is. If you are within 120, then you're talking about 117 more now. 300 kilowatts an hour, you are in 277. So I guess many of us are going to be paying quite significantly more for electricity. If you look at the difference here, I mean, more than 70 cedis more for if you're between that bracket of up to 300 kilometers plus, right? Non-residential, if you're a business, that's the increases that you see there. Now, if you look at the analysis since 2010, what you see is a number of tariff decisions have been 30. That's the PURC have been making. Now, tariff increases have just been 12. Tariff reductions have just been 2. And no change is 16. So the PURC over time, clearly from the trend, prefers to not touch the tariff at all. I mean, and you know all the politics and governmental concerns that come into play because tariff is a big, big deal. But the question we need to ask, though, in the current economic challenges that we find ourselves, can the consumer, business and residential, can they bear this increase, no matter how small it is? I find this very interesting because if you look, it tells a picture of the tariff analysis, the color chart, in terms of increases, decreases, and no change. I wanted to focus on 2017 since this government came into power. From 2017, when they came into power in January, there was a no change, if you remember. And then in April, no change. In July, no change. And so that whole year, there was no change, right? And it comes to 2018, yellow, there was a decrease, which many thought at that time, there was a criticism that government was being for the Christmas, right? So there was a decrease rather in 2018 in March. And then no change again. So this government really, if you look at it in terms of its history with adjustments, have chosen either not to change or decrease, which is quite unusual. If you compare to the 2010 to now, you see 2010, there definitely was an increase. You see 2011, there was an increase, there were 2 increases, right? 2013, again, you see an increase there. But then you come to 2017, right? And then you have no change. The next year, there's actually a decrease. If you come to 2019, right, again, then you see an increase, two increases. And then we haven't seen any again till now, which is 2020, where you have what we are recording currently. So this tells you a very interesting story about why now. There's some who say that if the PURC were doing the automatic tariff adjustments, we possibly would not require a 20% plus adjustment currently. We'll ask the PURC boss what he makes of this. And then if you look at the tariff analysis in pesos per kilowatt hour, this is what the graph tells us in terms of people's consumption, which is going up, by the way. Now, the investments that have been made is also an interesting thing that we are interested in. If you look at the PURC's own website, they have some detail there about investment that NEDCO had made, ECG, etc. Because they were making an investment, and they're saying that this is part of the reason why they need an increase. Now, the procurement and installation of 25,000 smart type, repayment meters and accessories, I mean, is what NEDCO had put in. You have Ghana Water Company, selected project they put in replacement and upgrading of the 0.6 kilometer defective raw water. So they are pumping in, money, 360. And PURC went around and verified this, right? So they have rehabilitation of the Dalum raw water pump at 88,000, 1.5 million spent on installation of 51,000, metrics distribution pipelines. The question is, these investments that is made, can they recoup from the increases that they got? If you look at the ECG, same issues that the PURC had found. So we're going to have this conversation with them. My real concern is to try and draw out the impact on you and the impact on the utilities, by the way, as far as this increase is concerned, considering what they asked for and what they got.